Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming today. I'm live here on Facebook, and I am really super excited to start bringing you some stuff that I've been working on. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mary Lazier Smith, and I live in northern Colorado in the foothills here with my husband and 16-pound Siberian cat, Zephyr. And yes, he is named after the western winds, which we get a lot of up here in Colorado. So, I've had 30 plus years of teaching, mostly communications, and I'm also a lifelong learner of human or personal development. And I've had decades, honestly, of practicing personal and spiritual growth and refining a well integrated and holistic approach and method of teaching communication so that it actually helps us rather than keeping us in these worn out cycles. And that leads me to the cycle that I'm going to talk about today. This is the communication hamster wheel that utilizes classic, like surface skill set tactics that most of us have fallen prey to, often unknowingly. How many of you, for instance, have used a search tool to find an answer to a question? Maybe even AI, right? You just type in the question and poof, out comes an answer. And often it's a darn good one, right? I mean, let's face it, it is. But when trying to use that method to solve a relationship problem, you're going to run into a major snag. These generated answers lack one thing we must do for relational trust and connection. But I want to take a second here before I get to that to commend anyone that's actually trying to stay connected to others, especially those that we have very big differences with. When the easier road is just to kind of throw your hands up and go, okay, forget it. Screw it, right? So kudos to you for really trying and sticking with it. Because I believe that you and I know that we can't survive without relationships, and we certainly cannot have a happy, fulfilled life when we lack trusting, supporting relationships. You know, I'm reminded of the movie Castaway. Remember that movie? Where the character, I believe it's Chuck Noland, is played by Tom Hanks. And Chuck forms a relationship with a volleyball, which he names Wilson because Wilson is written on the volleyball. And his very survival, guys, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, depended on that relationship. And this is the exact reason why our relationships are so important. You know, losing them is not an option, and certainly not the best option for anybody. Relationships aren't formed or maintained using hacks or quick fixes. Relationships sustained using communication tricks or quick fixes. In fact, those things can actually cause more mistrust and disconnection. Now, I understand the busyness of life and the desire to fix things quickly so we can get on with it, right? And it feels like the best that I can do right now. But this often leads to the incessant spinning of the hamster wheel. And once that starts spinning, it's hard to get off. The chase, these quick solutions, become addictive. And the truth is that this is at the heart of distraction and not actually connecting. So if you're looking to really connect and to heal, to improve, to increase connection and mutual support, even with those who are very different from you, then you got to get off that wheel at all costs. Now, I promise you, I speak from years of uncomfortable experience. The exact opposite of what you want, which is to fix your relationship, is going to happen and grow if you don't get off the wheel. Stop relying on quick fixes that require very little effort on your part and keep you addicted, distracted. If you don't, you're going to see a rise in feeling disconnected. You're going to see a rise in mistrust and frustration, a rise in disbelief, honestly. And you're going to see a decrease in hope, joy, and peace in your life. In fact, you might be feeling that now. I mean, can anyone relate? Has anyone sensed this in yourself or seen it in others around you? You know, I mentioned earlier that generated answers lack one thing we must do for this relationship trust and connection. And what they lack is the experience of starting with the most important relationship. Hint, it's not a relationship with another. If you're seeking advice on how to maintain trust in your relationships, your best is getting that advice from someone who has walked that walk and who can guide you through it. Make sure they have experience in developing what I call the self with a small s to the self with a capital S relationship. Even better, that they've done deep work using multiple lenses to look at themselves so they can teach you exactly how to do that for yourself. Sometimes it feels like starting with ourselves is selfish. I get that. Shouldn't I be focused on the relationship? Shouldn't I be focused on the other, helping them? And we think if they could just see things the way I do, God, I just know their life would be so much better, right? But I see that all around in social media and everything. But how does that work for us? How is it working for you? And my guess is it's not so great. I say that because that's been my experience in the past. I almost lost my relationship with my adult daughter and then my adult son, trying to show them the quick fix, which happened to be what I thought was right. If you just do life this way, I promise you it'll be better. Oof. And ouch, honestly. Thank God I saw the error of my ways and got off that hamster wheel. I studied with the best teachers, so many who did that self-to-self work. They did that first on themselves, and then they taught me the same. Teachers from different disciplines, from different walks of life, using different lenses and perspectives. And I learned something new about myself with each teacher. I realized the more angles, the more lenses, the more perspective I use to look at myself, the better. And I've incorporated the best of these lenses, perspectives, etc., into my communication system. Now, my kids and I no longer spin on that wheel. We ride a much smoother, never-ending track where our differences politically, and we've got them, spiritually, economically, and so on. They're all a source of connection now and growth for all of us. They're not separation and anxiety. Now, perhaps you're already starting to know yourself. That's amazing. That's awesome. Keep it up. How many paths, how many lenses, how many perspectives have you taken on yourself? Are you following and listening to someone who's used at least 5 different lenses to know themselves truly and deeply, who can see and point to the pitfalls and help you deal with your own? No, I get it. I may or may not be your chosen helper or whatever. But if you truly want to move your relationships to deep trust, true, lasting connection, no matter what the circumstances and obstacles are, then I encourage you to learn more. If you're curious about how to start on yourself so you can create and maintain trusting, supportive relationships, even when you're polar opposites, I encourage you to sign up for my waitlist. Also, if you're at all curious about how we might be a good fit and if I might be the right guide for you, then I encourage you to join my waitlist because there's absolutely no obligation there. My introductory course is opening soon for a limited time and a limited few, and it could help you shave years off of studying, on your timeline and provide you all you need for your best path forward for exceptional relationships. I'd love to continue this conversation there. So click on the link and join my waitlist. And if for some reason, wherever you're watching, the link isn't live, then just go to communicatewithintelligence.com and sign up at the waitlist there. There's a tab that says waitlist. Just sign up there. So thanks for joining today, and I look forward to connecting again with you soon. And hopefully I'll see you on the waitlist. Thanks so much.